Good morning and welcome to Frontiers of Knowledge segment of Dr. Lamba's Awakening. We hear strange news, not strange exactly in the sense that they are weird or eerie, but because they show that the nature is never ending and the human problems and the human safety both do negatives, but they are always present. Are you aware that North America, starting from Vancouver in Canada to Denver in States, Asian giant hornets have started invading. They are called murderous hornets. And the Washington Agriculture Authorities are asking residents to be on the lookout for invasive giants. And when they sting so bad that one can die. They start by stinging the honeybees, leaving thousands of the bees without head. So they just cut the head off. It's exactly like killing human beings. And the most venomous, intimidating insect in the world are these Asian hornets. They are so awesome in their poisonous nature that other hornets are afraid of them. And originating from South Korea, they were first reported in, as I said, in Vancouver, and then Brain, then Denmark, and other places. So these giant wasps could be bringing devastating impact to the beekeepers and to the agriculture in general in the whole of Northwest Pacific crops like cherries, blueberries, and apples. In Europe, they have already killed honeybees and other pollinators and caused in France a damage to many millions of dollars worth of agriculture produce and the fruits gone waste. They are also called jack killer hornets and they are 2 inches long. They are orange in color with a yellow face and the large black eyes, very hideous to look at. As a matter of fact, the Department of Etymology in the Department of Agriculture of USA says that they look like something out of a monster cartoon. And as I said earlier, their sting is simply excruciating. And the stinger is quarter inch. So the quarter inch of poison being injected into your body is there. This invasion, coupled with coronavirus, is really a nightmare for the farmers and even for the ordinary people. But one thing interesting is that before they sting you, they give a warning. A sound comes, and after a couple of seconds, you feel the sting. So, if you're very, very careful, maybe you can protect yourself. But what about the bees and the pollinators? Well, nothing can be done. And then one thing, their stinger can penetrate all protective clothing. There's a, I mean, you can't say you're wearing a full sleeve shirt or you're covering yourself with PPE, protective cloth. No, that would not help. They'll penetrate it. So this is something new which is coming up, transporting from Asia to Europe and now to North America. So that shows one thing. A, the nature is keep taking its toll. The more we have an aptitude for destroying nature, the more cruel the nature can be to protect itself and its species. And another thing that is that nature created these species in a distinct environment. And with the globalization, we have disturbed the ecosystem. And maybe That's what is making these Hornets travel from South Korea to France and now to North America. Imagination staggers. And then China. China is now breeding huge wild rats. They say these wild rats are very nutritious food and they can detoxify human beings and they make women pretty when they eat this meat. You know, rats are unwelcome guests in our homes. But these rats are called bamboo rats because they feed on bamboo. And the Chinese consider it as a delicacy. But it's not something new. In Mandarin, they call it zhu zhu. And from 1046 AD, as a matter of fact, even in 256 BC, Zhou dynasty used to eat them. And these are the food source, and they are growing them like that. And they are sold at $40 per kilogram. Another thing is that some people are saying that the way you cook them creates virus called coronavirus. How far that's correct, we don't know. But health experts have linked coronavirus to these rats as well as to bats. And Chinese dish is now heavy. And do you know the weight of these rats? It's up to 11 pounds. And they can be 45 centimeters or 17-inch long. And as I said, it's a traditional delicacy. And according to Chinese medicine, there's an encyclopedia of Chinese medicine called Ban Gu Man Gu. It was written in the 16th century, and it mentions that when you eat this rat, it improves the function of stomach and spleen. How far, I don't know. But one thing is sure that breathing these rats might ultimately have some other effect. Naturally, when they grow is something different. But when you breed them for a specific purpose, then the genes are transmuted. And that transmutation and transformation has a huge impact. And then, our biggest problem has been pollution in this world. So we came across a development which is called electric cars, which are not useful at all. Let's be very clear. Because to use the battery and energy, more electricity is used, which is created from the conventional sources. So that's not a solution, but then the people go by the ideas of the politicians, reinforced by the ideas of the scientists, and now the electric cars are the in thing. The biggest problem with the electric cars was that you had to recharge them after every 500, 600, at the most 1,000 kilometers. Then came the hydrogen cars, and that is an excellent substitute, pollution free. Exhaust is just pure water which you can even drink. And but the problem was the hydrogen cell. It's a huge thing. You can't put in a car more than one. And again, after a few thousand kilometers, you have got to replace the cell or recharge it. But now, Northwestern University of Evanston has developed a bath sponge for cars. It's like a sponge. It absorbs. And this sponge can be placed in a car. It's the size of the bath sponge. You can carry it in a hand. It's so small. And it can store more gas without the need of costly and humongous tanks. A gram of the new aluminum based material is said to have a surface area of the size of a football pitch, and it contains billions of tiny pores, and it becomes a sort of a sponge. It can be rounded. So huge football pitch area comes as a small ball, and with the billions of tanks, and those boats have large volumes of hydrogen, and then you can practice travel without the need of expensive tanks. As it proves, the hydrogen is an ideal greener fuel, and when produced with using renewable energy. So hydrogen is thought to be ideal for powering fuel cells and trucks. I don't deny that there are setbacks, there are negative aspects as well. But then each advancement has a negative aspect. But in case we want to use it, this tank would be ideal for storing the hydrogen cells. And according to them, 1 kilogram of hydrogen can power a car for over 100 kilometers. That's all. So this tank would be able to carry 11,000 liters. 11,000 liters. Imagine it. A small ball, a small sponge. So it will solve the problem to a great extent. And this is an extremely porous material. It's described as a metal organic framework. The product is called NU1501 and it has been built with organic modules, metal ions, and a molecule, and they are assembled together. Highly crystalline and porous structure is maintained, and it uses pressure to store and release the gas molecules. Simply as the way a sponge, when you squeeze it, it releases and it absorbs when you wipe. And then, we are today terrified by coronavirus. Not me, but most of the people are, thanks to the media spreading the scare and the politicians adding fuel to the fire. And now something has come up. In Belgian countryside, you will see llamas, that animal, and Winter points out that those llamas had an antibody which is unique. And when you combine two copies of that antibody copy successfully block the spike protein that lets coronavirus infiltrate your body. So they say that the llama's genes is extracted. And this has come up in 4 different universities. Imagine it at the same time, 4 different research centers have come up with us and they say that the severity of the existing infection can be reduced, infection can be removed, and the persons can be cured. And according to the Belgian authorities, they say it will take them 3 weeks to perfect the method of extracting those antibodies from llamas and using it as an antidote to coronavirus. Quite interesting and quite amazing, right? But then that's what science says. And before I end today's episode, let me tell you, most of you are work alcoholics. If you could, you would work 24 by 7, 365. But do you know how much does it cost? As a matter of fact, we have blurred the difference between work and life. Australians, work nearly 5 unpaid hours weekly. For the paid hours is something different, 40, 36, 34. But when you go home, even then you are working and that's not counted that. And according to the estimate by the Department of Labour of Australia, the total work done by the people, the executives at home after the working hours, if they were to be paid, it would be 81.5 billion dollars. $81.5 billion of extra work people do without getting paid. And the same is happening all over the world. Whether it's India, whether it's Canada, whether it's USA, most of the executives take the work home. They work 24 by 7, but they are not paid for that. As a matter of fact, smartphones make them obligated and therefore responsible to respond to emails 24 by 7. So what they get as salary and as perks is, according to the researchers, not even one third of what they should actually get. The time spent online is much more. And then, it has been seen that some of the people take a shower when they are tired for 10 minutes. They don't take it more because the phone might ring, an email may come, there's a ping, a notification, then you go and then you start doing it. And there have been some cases when the people have taken their phones to the bathroom with disaster results. But then, is this the way we are going to work? Is work much more important than the human life is? And the cost of it, even the economy, is it worthwhile? Think about it. But in the meantime, marvel at the ever widening frontiers of knowledge. Thank you.